When Realme sent across the Realme GT to us for review, they had a clause in the brief that said something to the effect of, we may or may not launch the phone in the country and there is a high probability that we will not. And I was like, what? Now, just like you, even I was confused, and then I figured out the real reason why the company might not launch the phone in our country. And you know what? I'll explain that in the end because it ties in with something the smartphone manufacturing industry is facing as a huge problem. In the meantime, I'm Ershad, you're watching My Smart Price, and this is a quick review of a phone that you may never own. Hey, that rhymed. But before I share my thoughts on the phone, let's quickly take a look at the unboxing. And while we're at it, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever My Smart Price puts out an awesome new tech video. Oh, also, I wanted to give you guys an update on this OnePlus Watch review. You know what? It's going to be delayed primarily because I haven't drained the battery on this one yet and I'm yet to run a full charge test. So let me know in the comment section below if you guys want to see a full review video of the OnePlus Watch. Let's begin. So the Realme GT looks like many other Realme phones we've seen in the past. The race car gold black variant looks nice, but the silver one looks like any other mid-range Realme offering. In fact, Xiaomi's Redmi Note 10 Pro and Note 10 Pro Max are better designed in my opinion. Anyway, on the GT you get this glass sandwich design with a plastic frame. I think it is plastic because I don't see any plastic antenna inserts that you generally find on phones with a metal frame. Moreover, the silver color variant is a real fingerprint magnet, which is not necessarily a good thing. But you do get a transparent case in the box for what it is worth. Also, the camera bump doesn't protrude too much from the rear, which is a good thing. Now, the rest of the design is pretty nondescript, almost intentionally designed with low effort to keep the cost of the phone down. That said, I do like three specific things about the design. Firstly, you get a stereo speaker setup and it does sound pretty good. Secondly, there is a dedicated headphone jack, a rarity these days. Finally, I like how compact the design is. Thanks to its relatively tiny display, you get a far more comfortably designed phone that is a delight to hold and use with one hand. So I'd say that the Realme GT has a pretty forgettable design, but the in-hand feel and ergonomics are pretty great. Now, if you've come this far and if you like what you've seen till now, then don't forget to hit that like button and maybe even comment below so that the YouTube algorithm can push this Realme GT video to more people looking for Realme GT content. Now, the GT has a 6.43-inch Super AMOLED panel with a 120Hz refresh rate. It is a bright and colorful screen with extremely snappy touch response. You can also choose between an always-on 120Hz refresh rate or a smart switch that automatically switches between 60Hz and 120Hz as the situation demands. In fact, if you go inside the Realme Lab settings, you can switch on smooth scrolling for an even more refined experience. I've noticed that lately Realme phones feel pretty snappy thanks to this feature. Now, the display also supports HDR video playback, but for some odd reason, the Chinese variant of the GT only has support for Widevine L3. Anyway, I find this display perfectly serviceable for everyday usage, but then again, it does nothing extraordinary here. Realme has equipped the GT with a triple camera setup on the rear, a 64-megapixel primary camera with a Sony IMX682 sensor, 8-megapixel secondary ultra-wide, and a 2-megapixel macro. On the front, you get a 16-megapixel selfie camera. The camera specs are so disappointing that even the much cheaper Realme 8 Pro 5G has better specs. The camera app does offer all the cool modes such as Pro Night mode or dual view video, and it is pretty intuitive to use as well. But the lack of 4K recording on the ultra wide angle camera is a letdown. Regardless, I shot a few pictures with the Realme GT and generally went in with no expectations. And good that I didn't, because otherwise I'd have been highly disappointed. The photos from the primary camera are nowhere near flagship quality and look very average. In fact, selfies shot from the ultra wide angle camera and the macro shots are also below par too. The video recording is not that great either. I'd say it is a pretty passable camera setup indeed, and definitely the weakest point of the phone. The biggest selling point for the Realme GT is undoubtedly the Snapdragon 888 chip inside. Our unit is the 8GB 128GB variant, and you get another one with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of internal storage of the UFS 3.1 kind. So what can you expect from Snapdragon 888? Well, extreme performance of course. Especially with the GT mode on, I managed to max out the settings in Call of Duty Mobile, and the experience of playing the game was just insane. Although that's not too different from the slew of Snapdragon 888 phones I've tested lately. It also matches the other phones when it comes to benchmark scores in Antutu, Geekbench and 3D Mark. But the bigger question is, does it heat up? Well, no, it doesn't. At least not as much as the Mi 11 or the OnePlus 9 Pro did before the updates. But yes, like all other Snapdragon 888 phones, it does get slightly warm. As for the software, you get Realme UI 2.0 based on Android 11. It is one of the cleaner implementations of Android today, and I really like the control on offer here. Plus, there are many features such as bulk deleting apps from the home screen, a feature that is not even present on Oxygen OS. Anyway, I do like the experience and feel that stock Android enthusiasts will feel right at home on Realme UI. The Realme GT has a 4500 mAh battery and a 65 watt charger in the box to go along with it. It can charge the battery from 0 to 100 in 35 minutes. The battery lasted me the expected 6 hours of screen on time, or 1 day of battery usage for general users. It is good enough battery life for most folks. So now let's answer the question as to why the Realme GT might not launch in India. While Realme India has not given me an official response for this, it doesn't take a genius to guess that this has something to do with the current global chip shortage situation. Qualcomm has a low stock of its Snapdragon chips, and it has actually advised its clients that there might be a delay of many weeks before restocking happens properly. In fact, there was a very strong rumor that suggested that the Google Pixel 5a 5G might not launch at all because of this very same rumor. However, Google was quick to thwart that rumor, but confirmed that the Pixel 5a 5G will launch only in 2 countries. Now, which brings me to this correlation that for Realme to actually launch the Realme GT with Snapdragon 888 in our country, it has to see real demand. And considering that, the above rupees 30,000 price bracket in India is a very minuscule chunk of the entire market, I don't see real reason why Realme should bring this phone to our country. Also, looking at the phone, the other specs apart from the Snapdragon 888 chip are pretty ordinary. In fact, you can find them on mid-range phones as well. Which means that Realme, if it brings the GT to India, it would have to price it really low, possibly making it the cheapest Snapdragon 888 phone in our country to actually make the headlines. And now for that to happen, Realme will have to ramp up production to ensure that it can lower costs and achieve the economies of scale. And I hardly see that happening for Realme GT, ergo Realme will have to drop the plan and forfeit the race. And as a business, that's not necessarily a bad decision, but as a consumer, you might have to look at alternatives. Now, let me know in the comment section below whether you want Realme to bring the Realme GT to our country if you are really interested in it. Until next time, this is Ashar from My Smart Price signing off. Goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.